Hi.
I was just going to post our stream in the Troublemaker server, and I see that Malin posted an Instagram post that says it's meet the characters from The Art of Summoning Demons, which I'm pretty sure is her whip. So I'm like, gotta go spy on that.
I'm debating whether I want to have the window open. I think I want to have it not open. Can I do this?
I have to move this near because I was like, what is blinding me from my right side?
I gotta stand up for this. You will see the... Oh, you will not see the tush. I was about to say, you got to see the tush. Well, now you can. Tina's booty live on air. Let me do this without knocking.
Hey, Kelly. Hey, RP.
There we go.
Tina said, hi, party people, or non-party people, however you identify.
This is true, however you identify.
Just so everyone has a heads up, my head has been bouncing between brain fog, being crushed by an invisible force, and perfectly fine. So if I go from being, perfectly fine, Sam, to suddenly just disoriented to mildly annoyed, it's all going on up here. My shot it either has worn off or I'm in the downward of it wearing off. We're also got the rain is coming and going and coming and coming. We had thunder without rain the other night, and I was very upset by this because it scared my dog and my youngest. And I'm like, well, if you're going to terrify them, at least give me something for everybody. Hey, oh, cool gamer. And my insurance, because as y'all may or may not remember, last year between March and May, I actually went like 2, maybe 3 months without a shot. March, April, May, yeah, that's 3 months, because I needed to get my pre-approval redone. Pre-authorization, I forgot what it's called. Either way, the insurance company needed to message my doctor and be like, but does she actually need this medication? Are we sure that she needs this? And, my doctor's office, while I love my doctor, the nurse's station, well, okay, I don't want to say the nurse's station. It's just getting the communication to my doctor to have these forms filled out is always like a very long, elaborate game of tag. So, I don't want to put the blame on any one person, but sometimes I literally end up just making an appointment to talk to my doctor to bug him into filling out my paperwork. But I called my insurance and they were like, hey, so if you use our online pharmacy, then we'll mail you your prescriptions and the pre-authorization process is a lot smoother. And I'm like, let's do that. So, but I've been working to transitioning to that, which means, it's not going slow, but it's not going fast. I just put in a request for my order for my shot this month. So hopefully that will go quickly. And then I won't have to worry about this. I won't go a quarter of the year without my medicine.
Thank you. Was not expecting that to be a comment on stream today.
Well,
I invited it, but I just before stream did not think that was going to be a thing.
That is very fair. If anybody saw the original version of this stream, Matt was going to be here today. Something came up, so Matt is not going to be here today.
Well, we love a man.
We do love a man. Man's is busy right now, like my gods.
Understandable. I'm also busy.
He has been to, I think, 4 or 5 weddings in just year.
Just work-wise.
Well, that too, but also just so many of his friends are getting married and they're moving and stuff, and So he's been going to like lots of weddings, being supportive and helping people move and everything. And it's just, man.
I'll invite him to my hypothetical wedding just to inconvenience him.
Just to inconvenience.
Just none of you guys else, just him. Just to inconvenience him.
Just Matt. Like, Matt, you have to come. You're the only one invited.
Well, maybe not the only one. I hope I have more friends than that in this hypothetical wedding situation.
Well, you is invited. Or do you mean you didn't want to inconvenience anybody else?
Yeah, I meant like, as in like the rest of the like stream writing group friends.
Oh, okay. So you're
not like anyone else.
Got you. That's my bad. So chat, how is and Tina? I am invested in your weekend too.
Better. I had an eventful one.
How did everybody's weekend go? My weekend wasn't eventful, so I'll summarize it. We took the children Easter shopping-ish. Basically, we asked them what did they want for Easter, and they were like, or we were like, do you want Switch games? And they were like, no, yes, Easter. I work Easter weekend, so my family very commonly just picks a weekend and celebrates it.
Oh, I was like, it's too late for non-Orthodox Easter, but it's also too early for Orthodox Easter. What's going on?
I asked you what the package was. You said you didn't know.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, it might be me.
Got our fingers crossed.
Is it books?
No. See, I'm expecting a package from Tina.
They did say it shipped today. I forgot to tell you in messages, so I'm telling you now on stream. Because apparently I saved $30 US dollars, friends, by sending it to Sam, who lives further away than the bookstore than I do, but because of cross-country customs nonsense. Oh my god, it was egregious. Hi.
Well, I'm confused. Okay. Where's Matt?
Matt had a thing come up with what? He did. I know what came up. I don't know if he wants everyone to know what came up. So he had a thing came up. So, but anyway,
it was a satanic ritual.
We asked the children, like, what do you want? And instead of asking for Switch games or anything, which was completely on the table, they were all like, they wanted books and board games.
Aww.
And we were like, you know what's a really good place for books and board games? Books A Million. So we basically took the children, had them walk around, and then whatever, like, they showed the most interest in stuff. Like, we had our bags, our reusable bags and stuff. Because Books A Million doesn't give you bags anymore, like, at all. So I would hold the bag and Chris would slide their present into the bag. Also, we're doing this thing with the children where they get like a point for every 10 pages they read when they finish a book. And our middle child had earned 100 points, so he could pick a book under $20. So we went ahead and let him pick that out while we were there. And then I got them some nice like little treat drinks. We went home. Yesterday, I went to like our local coffee shop and got this brunch box, and I knew it was like going to be overpriced, but I wanted to try it with the children. I took a picture of it. I'll send the picture, but yeah, definitely next time I want to do a brunch box, I'm just going to Publix and raiding their bakery section because I think I would get a much better and tastier value. But it was still fun. The kids like really they just kind of enjoyed the thought of, oh, this is a brunch box from the coffee place mom goes to. So all right, Tina, tell the peoples about your weekend.
All right. Well, so I've been having some feng shui weirdness with my room. And so on Saturday, I rearranged my room, which involved me making a whole new flooring for the bunnies' enclosure. And they are now, because my bed was like right beside the door, and now the bunnies are right beside the door, and they like it much better than I liked being right beside the door. And so yeah, did that, including like it was literally like switching around my bed to the other side of the room and the dresser over here and the bunnies over. It was a whole production in the morning.
Did I show you the guy that I sometimes see on YouTube and stuff that's got like the little figures and he like talks about?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was part of I was very tempted to make a video being like, help me, except I figured it out on my own. I literally made like a little, and then a friend of mine was like, make a little to scale version of you so you can see your walk pathways if you actually fit. And I was like,
good idea.
This is why I listen to you. You're a smart cookie. But yeah, so that's what I did on Saturday. And on Sunday, it was a thing of, I forgot that there was a Greek Independence Day parade. And so my dad called me and was like, he called me an hour before the parade, knowing that it takes me an hour to get to Greektown. He calls me up. He's like, so you're going to the parade, right? We had not messaged the entire weekend. I had completely forgotten about it. And I scheduled doing a photo shoot with a friend because said friend is a photography student. And needed models, like asked on the Friday, and I responded being like, I'm free all weekend. We could do that. And they were like, how about Sunday? And I was like, Sunday's great. I'm free all day because I had forgotten about the parade. And which, funny enough, the school that I was going to do this photo shoot in Greektown. But I was like, there's no way I can do both the parade, and also it's just. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where the parade is so crowded. You know? I was like, I was, the last stream I was on, I said how I was a good daughter by eating the green beans. Mm-hmm. This weekend, I was a bad daughter. Like, I could have made it work, and I was like, no.
I'm sure he'll forgive you.
He will. But yeah, so, but yeah, so I did the photo shoot. It was tons of fun. It was a cool thing of, it was very like backlit. And so I got some very fun, mysterious portraits that I have gotten permission from that friend to use like in me business and things. She was very excited to hear that I guess to promote myself, if you go on my website and you go to my About Me page, you will actually see her photo of me and Boo. Because after I did her project, which you would find it on her page actually, because I did link her page. You could go to her page as well. But there is a very cute photo of me and Boo, because after every photo shoot, like for her project, she will ask you like, "Hey, do you want any photos for you done?" And so like every time I keep being like, a headshot would be nice, and then the first time I was like, "We're at my place. I can bring Boo." And so I brought him over, and he was a very good boy about the flash. But yeah, it's a very cute picture of the two of us. No Luna, because she hates being picked up. But maybe the next time this friend comes over, I can get her to get some glamour shots of Luna. But
sorry, I'm mildly distracted. All right,
you just got delivered food.
No, that's not it. TikTok and YouTube has been showing Chris these things where it's like, I try to eat at my husband or I try to eat at my wife's speed. And like for the vast majority of them, it's like the husband eats so much faster and stuff than the wife. But he's like, see, if we did this, I'd be the one trying to keep up with you. And so I'm sitting over here eating my sandwich and I see him. Like every time I go to take a bite, he like rushes to try to take another bite.
I'm still chewing. Like you're just.
I like finished my sandwich and it looked like he still had at least a third of his to go.
But yeah, that was my weekend.
Well, I'm glad that you got some pictures out of it. And like I said, I'm sure your dad will.
Yeah.
I love the idea that like he didn't message you at all weekend.
No,
Like,
he loves to do this to me. He loves to do where he will like, sometimes he will let me know like on the Monday or Tuesday that something's going on the weekend. And I'm like, great, I can make it. But I think what happens is I do that too often. You know, I say yes. And so he's like, now I could just message her anytime. And then he'll message me as soon as he can before. And I'm like, I can't, like... Or he'll just message me, like, it's usually, like, the difference is when he messages me ahead of time, he will ask. But then when he doesn't message me ahead of time, it's an order. He's like, you're doing this thing. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I made plans. You don't have a monopoly over my weekend, sir.
you're like, Dad, I love you. I have other people I spend time with, though.
Yeah, I'm a busy woman. But we're gonna have where I'm gonna text him about something, and he's gonna call during a sprint. Watch, like we're talking about him too much. It's gonna summon him.
He's like, I sensed them.
Or he's gonna text me out of the blue.
I don't know. Is there Sorry. Is there a Greek equivalent of the Italian this?
Oh. I don't know. I can ask him.
Well, see, now that's why he's gonna call you.
He's gonna call me. I'm gonna have to make sure my phone is charged because it's currently about to die. Hey, Dad, is there a
You ate your fries faster than I did.
equivalent to when
That's fair, I guess.
do this hand? Okay, let me find the emoji.
This is a really funny turn of events, though, because I used to eat a lot slower than Chris. I don't know why I've just started inhaling food in my old age.
I'm gonna do where it's the only thing in the text so he can see it with his glasses.
What are you doing?
RP had thankfully an eventful weekend, helped move the last of the stuff from his parents' old house on Saturday, finished continent maps for my D&D session. Speaking of D&D, our children, while we were looking at like board games and stuff, they saw some D&D stuff, and they have asked to play D&D. So Chris is going to set them up a little campaign and stuff.
Nice.
Our youngest is, without fail, going to fulfill the stereotype of being the menace of the group, as she's like, I like rogues. I want to steal things. And then she's like, can I be a lizard? Or she's like, can I be half elf, half snake? And we're like, maybe. Could we like stick to the core races for your first campaign? And she's like, okay. And I'm like, there's dragon people. And Chris is like, well, I can also find the stats for the snake people. And I'm like, cool. And I asked her something about how her character would look, and she just goes, I'm just gonna draw it. And I'm like, if I didn't know that you were only 9 years old, child, dead ass just sound like a preteen teenager who's just like been playing D&D for years now. And our oldest, he's just like, I want to be the healer.
Aw.
And I'm like, you're going to be the most popular D&D player ever. I have played so many clerics just because nobody else wanted to be the healer. And I was just like, you know what? That's fine. We were like talking to him about different things clerics do. And I was like, yeah, I had a half-orc cleric named Pepper. She punched things with her fist. And he's like, just her fist? And I was like, well, technically she had gauntlets, but yeah. He was like, that's cool. And I'm like,
oh, whoops. This is why you try not to sketch panels too far apart. I gave a character 2 different shirts from one panel to the next because I didn't look at the previous panel. and
Too
decided
much
to choose the
spache.
No, we're good. We're good for spache. Have you had any spache complaints lately? Exactly.
I haven't been looking. Proofreading Sam is different from regular reading Sam. You know what? Yeah, there was so much spache in this week's update. I couldn't even read the panels. Lefty talking about that in reading.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I
That
like
should come
not
up.
me, Matt.
Yes, because he's helping everyone move.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're having a great Monday. I wanted to watch the eclipse, but I was dead, and so I just watched my window. And how it got darker.
It was so cloudy here that we could not find the sun at my work. Turns out it was behind the Walmart, but yeah,
I am not.
it was still a fun time.
I know not about this. I have to look into it, but see, this is the second time I think the kids have mentioned wanting to, or like, well, specifically one of our children has been interested in D&D before, but the other two weren't interested at all, and the one who was interested wanted to play a spellcaster. And when we started telling them about it, they basically just got very overwhelmed, which is fair. Spellcasters in D&D, God, there's so fucking much there. But, you know, Chris and I, we were just like, we'll wait a few years, and then, you know, because this was a couple years ago, and then now didn't seem overwhelmed, and the other two are so enthusiastic about it. They're like, yeah, no, we want to too. So we're like, yes, good. The time has finally come. There's just some things that, you know, it's better to wait till they're a little older, get a little more life experience under their belts. But we're very excited. Chris is like super excited. He was just like, are you going to be our scribe? And I'm like, you want me to do what now? And he's like, keep track of all the character sheets and stuff in one of your binders. And I'm like, yep, got it. And then I went in like my crate of things, pulled out a binder, started like moving the artwork that was in it out. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm preparing my binder. You wanted me to. I'm like, did you not just expect me to have the tools already? Who do you think I am? So. Also, we should probably introduce ourselves at least a little bit.
A little bit intro.
Just, you know, because you definitely want to say your new catchphrase.
Wasn't expecting that. Honestly, that might be my catchphrase. The amount of times I've said that on stream, I feel like you forgot.
You seem so much more enthusiastic about saying that than anything else. You're like, comic and website, cool, bunnies.
Oh! I completely forgot my actual catchphrase.
Now I need to know what you thought I was referring to.
No, I thought you were just joking. I like that I had something that I like didn't actually have. I completely forgot about the fact that I have 2 bunnies.
Yeah,
like, which I keep doing, and yet somehow I forgot. This is what happens when I miss a stream. Everything out the window. But
taking a stream off, forgets everything.
But hi, I'm Tina, aka Gabby. I make queer art and comics. There's Coffin Bed, a ongoing slice of life about a lesbian vampire and her human girlfriend. It's currently on hiatus, but I will eventually come back around to it. There's The Deep, a one-off about 2 deep-sea mermaids discussing job satisfaction, and my bi-weekly sometimes has too much spacha webcomic.
I'll never notice if I'm not in nitpicking mode.
Well, now I notice it. I correct for it, but it's called One Mystery Treat. It's a gay secret admirer romance. Updates every other Saturday. This upcoming Saturday is it. I am currently working on it as we stream. And all of my comics and art are free to enjoy online. You can go to my website, and you can also see that adorable picture of me and Boo on my About Me, right there, right at the URL. It's a must see. My friend is very talented. But yeah, that's me.
And I'm writing mom Samantha L. Nassett. On my channel, I talk about writer things, parent things, and writer-parent things. I am also a connoisseur of all things romance and fantasy and romantasy, because that's a thing now. I don't know why it needed to be a thing, but I am not complaining. Also, apparently mysteries. I'm getting real back into mysteries lately. But yeah, I host these streams on Mondays. We're doing write-ins for the rest of the month. Also, if you would like to be a guest on the next 4FA guest edition, I'm looking for guests. What else? What else do I do? Wednesdays. Whip Wednesday will be on CB's channel this week. It is from 1 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then on Thursday will be Sam's writing work shift, because I need that. At the same time as the Whip Wednesday gives him. You beat me to it. RP
He beat
like
me to
proud of
it.
himself. I know. I think he sits there with it in a message. The Win Mystery Treat on
I usually
Wednesdays,
do.
yes. Also, give an applause for Tina having our link, because when Tina's not here, the links are great. Like, they're missing.
I'm the link queen.
I have become reliant upon you. If you ever left me, I'd have to learn to do it again. Join the Sam's
I like how that's the thing.
for $1. It's a fun time in there. I might sit with it for
I see you.
See?
Game recognized game.
He does it.
Where do you think I summon these links from? I have a Discord thread on my own server for it.
Which is fair enough. Oh no. One of the Monopoly servers I'm in, they like one of the pings that I said that I want is like giveaways. But like they've started doing a lot of Discord games and stuff, which is fine with me, but they just use the regular giveaways ping. And I'm like, vicious. I ain't got time for that right now. Or really ever.
Okay.
I just wish they would do that in a different ping. I have to take every advantage I get because Tina is on stream. That's fair.
So my dad responded.
What was his answer?
About the this hand.
Yeah.
And apparently, and I think I have seen it, we do it too. We just have a different word for it, like word we use with it. My dad was basically explaining that, like in Italian, it's like perché. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, which is like why, right? Like why you do this. And for us, it's, let me see if I can. I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong because I've never seen this word before. But we go yati, which means like why, you know. So it's like why you do this. Why you do this? That's probably why, because there was that stream where I was talking to my roommate on mute and you could see me do it. That's probably why I do.
I will say I don't know how to say it in Italian, but porque is also Spanish for.
I think it's one of those romantic, like I'm thinking of like pourquoi being French. Yeah.
Pourquoi, porque. Italian has to be porqui.
just to
give me a new sound.
But
which I am pleased that I know enough Spanish and French that I can seriously like pourquoi, porque. That's why I need Italian to be porqui, so that I can just like slip into a different word sound association.
But yeah, if you've got any Greek culture / Greek myth related questions, I have my Greek immigrant father on text dial. Text dial in that I was going to say speed dial, but I text him. But also he might call me. That's the answer.
I have Tina on speed dial 4. I don't know who's on the other speed dials, but
oh yeah, I am number 4.
I don't know why that sticks with me. We're 30 minutes in. We need to start doing stuff. Peoples.
I mean, I'm doing stuff.
Okay, I need to start doing stuff. Peoples, we shall see you in 30.
I mean, you'll see us. But...
It's just full of piss and vinegar today. That's too strong a meaning, but meh.
Yeah, I'm just being slightly sassy.
I'll come up with a subtler one in 30 minutes.
Brilliant. I look forward to it.
And we're back. How'd everybody do that sprint? Also, Tina came up with a way to describe salt and sunshine. That's more the vibe I wanted to go with. You're still muted. Cannot hear.
Never trust me to mute myself.
I'll do it for you if you want.
I was saying that the way you phrased that at first, I thought you meant that I came up with it, and I was like, no, you came up with it. I'm confused. But yeah, that is accurate. I feel like that's also accurate to my life. I am both salt and sunshine.
I feel like I pulled out my southernism, like, to make that. Jessica was going to be working on an outline for the latest idea. Will it be made anytime soon? Probably not. Well, how did that go?
It is how it is.
Tina is being mixed fancy or sassy booty pants this year.
Mm-hmm.
I became mildly, well, first I checked my emails. I did something else. I don't remember what it was, because I became mildly obsessed with the like, I had 4 minutes left. So I was like, let me listen to this song that Tina posted. And then I was like, first I was staring at the actor.
Oh, let's get into it.
Well, I was staring at it. I don't know if this is going to go where you think. I was first staring at him, and I'm all like, I know you.
Yeah.
He played a younger Wolverine in X-Men Origins.
I definitely know him from something else because I have not seen the X-Men's.
And the love interest in the video when Troy goes when he goes in drag, the love interest was a guy on Austin and Ally on Disney Channel.
That's who I thought you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, what I was talking about, because, well, if I'm understanding, well, I mean, he's sure he got a lap dance. The Wikipedia described him as the love interest who received the lap dance. So I was like, oh, okay, sure. But yeah, no, because I was staring at him, and then like him in drag came up, but I didn't at first realize it was him in drag. I was just like, oh, I was sitting here going, is he lip syncing over, or were they singing over? Like, I was trying to figure out whose voice it was, and then I was just staring at the face, and I'm like, it's him in drag.
During the next sprint, my friends,
the
song is
One of
Your Girls by Troye
really nice
Sivan.
Song.
Oh, it's a beautiful song. And the thing is that like when you listen to the like if you read through the lyrics or like listen to them more thoroughly, like he's, you know, the plot of the song is that he's talking about, you know,
deep.
Well, it's real deep. It's also quite tragic because he's talking about, you know, like wanting someone so badly who is presumably straight or just like not available to him.
Yeah,
I think the idea is that he's straight because he says, you know, one of your girls or your homies, you know, or like at least like straight but maybe sleeping around, you know, like that sort of
I read I read the
done.
wiki page on the song, and he talks about how it's kind of an autobiographical song about how like he had internalized homophobia, but like he's attracted to men, and so he would like he would sleep with men who were like either straight seeming or, you know, they were just a little curious or something, and he would kind of mold would mold his persona to be whatever they wanted to, and he wanted to capture that feeling in the song because he was like, you know, it's just a thing that he went through and that he, you know, wanted to talk about and portray. And I was like, this is a deeper dive than I thought I was going to be when I was just staring going, who is this man I recognize? Oh, he's from X-Men.
Wait, which one is the one from X-Men?
Troy.
Oh, Troye Sivan is it? I had no idea.
He played a younger Wolverine, and I think X-Men Origins. Yeah, I was just sitting here. So then, like, my brain also goes, so that's baby Wolverine in drag. That's why I was like, the first part I want to talk about, I don't think I went where you thought I was going to go at first, Tina.
I thought you were going to go the Ross Lynch route because I was also like, I recognize him and I don't remember from where. And then I get to look it up and I was like, Disney Channel. Like,
to be honest, at first, I was just like, oh, okay, so she's lap dancing to the guy from the beginning of the video, and then I was like, their faces are not the same. so I didn't recognize the Austin and Allie guy at all. I only like realized it because it was like, oh, and the person playing the love interest, and I'm like, do I know that person? Are they also from X-Men? And I clicked on it, and I'm like, oh no, very different association. Okay. Troy. Well, I too now
love album
Troy.
Is so good. There's this one song that is the more popular song from the album called Rush, and I will also post it in the chat because it's a great one. The video is spicy. Don't watch that one around at work. And it's also just become like a gay club anthem. But very fitting considering the music video. But yes.
I would just like to say awesome RP. Always happy when
yes.
we figure out how to add details and stuff.
Yeah. Details.
Baby Wolverine. I mean, look, I'm not wrong. I fell in love with him from Blue Neighborhood. Well, now look, I can't start going down the rabbit hole yet, y'all. I have more work to do. But definitely no, I will be going down a rabbit hole of Troy music later.
I have there's a YouTuber I follow now who like does like album reactions and did a reaction to the newest, like his newest album. And it's the reactions. I gotta recommend that channel in the Sam's realm because his name, funny enough, is also Troy. But he is a musician, so like some of the time he's like talking about like how good a song is with like technical terms, but most of the time he just vibing. He just making jokes. He just dancing around like a fool with absolutely no shame to it. Like it's really like just heartwarming to see someone just like so like unabashedly having fun, you know?
Oh, I do. There's a couple music producers and musicians I follow on YouTube because I like watching their reactions. So like, and it's great when I like watching a video and they start using some of that more technical jargon, and then I go, I know what this is because of all of the random ass shit I research at various points of my life. But like, oh my gosh, I forgot what his name is, but I love his reactions to specifically Riot music videos. I need to see if he's done one for our boys. Heart Steel. I need to see if he's done a Heart Steel one.
Oh, no, wait. You showed me the Heart Steel one for I was like, is it the one who goes super, super in depth? But I was like, wait, that was the visual one. No, I'm thinking wrong.
No, I can't. He's a black musician, and I really love watching his reacts because he'll pause 3 beats in, and he'll just be like, "What? Out the gate already!" I love watching his reactions. He's just so pumped about it, and he just gets so into it, and I love it because. I like watching people gush over things I gush about. Just always be open to have multiple tabs open when I'm on stream. That's fair.
Just I give the links, you put them in a new tab, you look at them later.
Ah, yes. I think it is! Hold on! I gotta double check. Do you also watch Screw, or do you just know that I watch him? Either of these. There was Chris watches Skyburn. Is it Babe? What's the second syllable? Either Skybin? I think it might be Skybin. But Chris and I watched him like separately. Like he watched one kind of videos he made, and I like watched a different kind of videos he made, and then I like heard Chris watching one of his videos, and I was like, "Are you listening to Skyman?" And he's like, "How do you know who that is?" And I'm like, "I love his analytical videos." Oh, is it this one? I think. Yeah, it's his name is Screwface. I'm not sure if it's Jean or Jean, but I'm gonna type it in. Screwface, and he does like a bunch of other ones. He does like rap songs, pop songs, a bunch of different ones. I just specifically watched him for his Riot Games ones. Skyin. It's not bad. Just as saying the link is.
Which link? I've sent so many. I assume the one that's the channel.
Phase. Yeah, it's not working.
I'm doing some digging.
But you got a playlist. I need to. No, I'll look and see if he has a Heartsteel one later. And there's another. He's a music producer, but I can't remember his name at all. But he'll break them down on a musical level and analyze those. Which, admittedly, that when he does that, it doesn't sit in my brain as well as when they break down the animations, just because like animation and everything was something that I like looked into heavily, and so I have like a lot of knowledge on that, so that kind of sticks better, whereas I am not technically musically inclined. Like I play When the Saints Come Marching In, and that is like the extent there. So like I get it, but it doesn't like stick in my head. So that's one reason I kind of like appreciate those breakdowns too, because whereas with the animations and stuff, it's like very validating a lot of the time. He's like, "Oh yeah, I know," or it's like, "Oh yeah, that looked really cool," or "Haha, I thought that." But then like with the music ones, it's like, "Oh, I didn't notice. That's so amazing." So yeah, I wish I could remember her name. I'm remembering nobody's names. Tina's just lucky she's labeled. That's why I remember her name. Tina. So I would like to say it's not my fault if I accidentally tag your personal Instagram, and here's why.
I mean, you haven't done it lately.
I know, but I was like, why do I keep doing it? So I'll be like at Tina, and it'll just pop up your personal account, right? And I'll be like, no, that's not the one I want. And then I will be like at KA, and then Cabby will pop up, but I'll have put the H, and then Cabby will disappear. And then I'm like, did I misspell it? What the fuck happened? And so then I'll go back and I'll just put the KA. And then a bunch of accounts I don't know of, have never seen, will pop up. And then it took me like 4 minutes to be able to tag Cabby today.
What the heck?
I don't know what's going on.
I have a weird thing currently on my personal Instagram where I can't share stories, like share things to my story. And I'm like, excuse you, how am I supposed to share cute cat videos on my Instagram stories, on my personal Instagram? People want to see the cats. I saw this adorable video that someone was like the solar eclipse in wherever they were, Kentucky or something, and you see them hold their black cat over where the sun is, like that, and it was so good and very timely. But Instagram won't let me post the stories.
Bastards. But I'm just saying, so if I ever accidentally tag your personal Instagram, it's not my fault. Instagram's made it really, really fucking hard to tag Cabby, and I'm annoyed at it. Especially when it's like, I just saw it. I saw it when I typed in KA, and then I type in H, and it disappears. So then I restart, and I go to put KA, and then it's not there. And I'm like, I don't know what it wants me to feel about myself, but I'm real annoyed at it. Yeah, just because that one worked.
Brilliant.
I was
It's
getting this up.
Very long. Yeah, look at this. Look at the size of that link. I posted it in Sam's room too. So
I opened it in a tab, so. You were like, I posted it in the Sam's room too, and I was like,
no,
oh,
I
okay,
said I
I'll
was
go.
going to.
Okay, then correction. I heard you say I posted it in the Sam's room too, and I was like, oh, okay, that must be what this message is, and so I just went to click on it to clear it, but then I see the spicy one. I'm like,
Oh.
I'm like, that was not what the tab that I just opened. Yes, so the spicy one is also posted.
Yes, the song with the spicy video. do you guys a favor? No, don't watch it at work. But
so I need to read this book, but I'm so unmotivated to read this book. 28 questions. It's one of the books that I need to read for the Year of Favorites readathon. It was a February one, but it was like one of two that I couldn't get my hands on any way other than purchasing it. And I had to purchase it like secondhand, which I don't mind. It's just that's how hard it was for me to find this book. I was like, this is ridiculous. But now it's like I was gonna try to finish. I finished all 8 books for March, and then I was gonna try to read that one, but I wasn't feeling really good, and I had a convention to get ready and everything. So I was like, I'm gonna do only audiobooks for a little bit. So I listened to an Ice Planet Barbarian book, and then April hit, and I was like, oh, now I need to read the 8 books for April, plus that one. And I'm like, but I really just want to finish the Ice Planet Barbarian main series, which I'm far enough into that where like they found some new humans, but the humans don't want to call the planet not Hoth anymore. They want to call it like Ice Home. And I'm like, oh, that's why there's a series called Ice Home. Because it's going to be a spin-off of this one. And let me tell y'all, I continue to be just delighted and impressed by how well this author runs their continuity for this series. Like, there's at no point that I have to genuinely give myself a suspension of disbelief for, oh, well, you know, okay, so we just have new characters and stuff. No, it's like, my dams, this author knows what the fuck they're doing. But I'm like, I need to read for the Year of Favorites. I can't just sit here and do nothing but listen to Ice Planet Barbarian because I have holds and there are people in line for these books. And the first book I choose is The Left Hand of Darkness. My God, Tina. If we thought Gideon the Ninth was dense.
Oh, that's why I've heard of it. I'm remembering your messages now.
Oh my gosh. All right. So firstly, disclaimer, this is not a bad book. It's actually a pretty good book. Would I have read this book of my own volition? No. But it's not a bad book. And it was actually really interesting. It's just there is a certain type of sci-fi and fantasy narration that turns my brain off in a way I don't like for my brain to turn off. And this is it. And it's just like the plot's going. I call it old man fantasy, but you know what? It is also old man sci-fi. Like, we're sitting here, the plot's going good. There's like some interesting interactions and shit. And then now I'm getting like, I got the history on the like sex cycle and the way that the physiology of this race of people work. Like, I had like 4 or 5 different very long explanations of it, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I got it. I do we Could you not interrupt the plot for this? I firmly understand. Now, granted, this is a very interesting concept, and I could kind of see why they would like want to go over it. I was just like, I was over it. But also sometimes because of brain fog, I would zone out and then I would have to rewind and be like, did I miss anything? I did not, in fact, miss anything. But then on the times when I'm like, oh, I'm sure I didn't miss anything. And then I'm like, no, I'm confused. I missed something and I'd have to go back. So I was like, I could never. But it was a good book. If you are into very dense reading, then The Left Hand of Darkness. I mean, it was real interesting. Like the pan-humans, they're basically like a species of androgynous peoples who they go into rut. It's not rut. I forget. It's a K word, but they essentially rut once a month, and then like when they choose their partners, one of them will take on male features and the other will take on female features, and then they have babies, and then when it's over they just go back to being the baseline androgynous. And there was like this really cute little love story with the main character, whom is from a more gendered binary race and like came to this planet to bring telepathy and other things to them, and like he's getting used to this and like kind of getting a thing with the other character. But then that ended in a way I did not expect, and I was like, well then. So now I'm listening to a book called Hamnet.
I've heard of this one as well.
I was at first I was just like, oh god, is this gonna be like The Left Hand of Darkness? Because it just starts with this lecture on how Hamnet and Hamlet are the same name, but like, which normally I love etymology and all, but I'm like, if this is how we start, how are we gonna go? No, I will say they're bouncing between timelines is a little confusing sometimes, but that might just be because I'm listening to the audiobook and have a little bit of brain fog. That might not be the book's fault at all, but it is really interesting. And I'm like very much digging it. The drama, so much drama.
I've heard good things. It's one of Jack Edwards' recommendeds, like high up there.
Hey yo, Rue. Dewey. Who is Jack Edwards?
Oh, he's a book YouTuber who's like pretty popular. The book librarian of YouTube, if you will. But he reads a lot of like literary fiction rather than genre. But that book is one of his like top faves. Gets mentioned often. He gets into kind of these cycles where like he'll mention his favorite book like nearly every video, because you can tell that like it's stuck with him, you know. And it's actually kind of cool like thinking about it, because like that was one that popped up a lot and then sort of slowly petered it, and you know other books take its place, and it's like interesting to see like someone go through those phases of like really loving, because I bet it'll come back around as like, you know, a fond remembering, but yeah, it's interesting to see.
I mean, I definitely relate to that. I am 19% through Hamnet, and I can see how it would be a literary fave.
Mm-hmm.
I will say my other issue is it's likely not the book's fault at all. Like between The Left Hand of Darkness and Hamnet, it's not their fault. I had also The Mystery of the Blue Train finally came up for me, which is my next Agatha Christie read. And I'm like, no, it's due in 11 days. The Hand of Darkness was due in 6. Hamnet's due in 9. I'm like, I need to listen to those two first. And then I also have like Our Dark Duet, which last month I read This Savage Song for the Year of Favorites, and it's a duology. And so I'm like, kind of really want to read the second book because of the way the first book left off. But I'm like, I'm trying to be good, Tina. I'm trying to be behaved. But I am thinking that perhaps this is working against me. Reading these other two books that, well, I like literary fiction. Not a fan of like heavy sci-fi.
Yeah,
or
I'm
fantasy.
I just read two head empty for that. Um, is the problem. It's one of those things where like I don't really process what I read until I'm done. Like the second I stop reading,
Oh, interesting.
it's like I'm digesting it, and then the second I like take a breather, I'm like if either I'm taking a break from it or if I'm reacting to something, then the processing will kick in. I do the classic, like if I'm watching TV with a friend, it's like pause the TV, talk about it, unpause and continue, which I feel like is the only respectful way to, if you're watching with a friend and you're both interested in the thing and haven't not already agreed to chat while talking. But yeah, it's a thing of like the problem with Gideon the Ninth for me was that like it's like it's not so much like it is dense, but the part that was getting me is that the magic system is very rarely explained, and also they made the same concepts, like similar concepts, start with the same letter and like very little spelling in between. And so like I was like, I'm trying to figure out I know one is one and one is but like I don't know which one is which when they're referring to it, so I don't get the context of what that actually means in the story.
I think that I had a bit of a leg up on you with Gideon the Ninth because their like magic system was primarily necromancy based, and with all the D&D campaigns and just the kind of like horror books and stuff I've read, I was already like familiar with quite a few of the concepts. So I was just like, yeah, cool. Like liches, gotcha. or I had like similar concepts to connect them to. So
yeah, no, it was not the necromancy part that was, it was the sciencey bits where I was like, you're describing concepts that I don't quite understand, that are from years of schooling that I have to like redraw on, but you've put the same letters and now I'm like, I don't know which one is which. Thankfully, I have a friend who I was buddy reading with who's an English teacher and was explaining things to me like I was 5.
Well, for some clarity, when I refer to the necromancy, I was also talking about the science behind the necromancy, like because that was the point of a lot of the trials, was for them to like kind of break down and understand what they're actually doing instead of just doing it. At least that's how I interpreted it. Yeah, we will be sprinting soon.
I'm getting heckled. Gotta hurry up our conversations.
Oh, yeah. This is a Monday stream. Read Gideon the Ninth, and then you'll be able to talk to us about the necromancy and the science.
It's also a thing too of, it has been a significant amount of years since I read it. But wag my finger at you. We're sassy, Tina, today.
She's welcome. I had something else I was going to say. I just want to take my claim to fame that I clocked one bitch out as being not good from the moment I saw her, and then another bitch out as my ride or die from almost the beginning. And I am pleased with these things. I
still think about the fact that I clocked one of the big twists. Like, I have it in my notes that I guessed nearly exactly how it went down in the beginning, and I'm like, oh, chef's kiss. And I know too that because it was a thing of my friend who was buddy reading was like fully like one book ahead of me in the series.
There's more to necromancy than that, boy.
But yeah, no, it was a thing of like, I feel like in the moment I didn't realize, but like in retrospect I was like, oh, she was probably sweating because I was sending her my notes. Although there is a twist in the second book that I didn't see, and I'm mad at myself for it because it's a twist I use in my one of the works I'm writing.
Say no more. Book 2 is on hold.
But
No, I can't know anything.
No, I mean, I'm not gonna say because it would also spoil it. But I was pissed that I didn't get it.
I was pleasantly surprised by a twist in Gideon that I will admit I should have seen it. I normally would have seen it, and probably the only reason I didn't see it is because I am so accustomed to the Sam trope of my favorite sacrificing themselves. And so I was just like, here we go. And then the twist happened, and I was like, my favorite lived? Like, I knew they were going to survive. But also, I was just so used to that trope. I was like, they subverted the trope they didn't know was a thing. So. Oh, I will also be reading A Darker Shade of Magic and Stone Blind.
I have not read either of these. I guess, because the thing is that, as I mentioned before...
What even is April's theme? Hold on.
As I mentioned before, I sent a book to your house, right? Uh-huh. And the sequel for that book isn't coming out until the fall. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, now I'm debating. For a brief moment there, I actually forgot that I didn't order the sequel. I ordered the first one. But I'm like, the thing is that I'll be picking it up when I visit your place.
Oh, and our favorite authors. Okay.
I'm like, maybe I should have that as my book I read while I'm there. Maybe do a little reread. I'm like, that one would be interesting to reread though, because it's called, oh goodness, what's it called? The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schaefer. I will post a link during the sprint. But
I will say,
hold on one sec really quickly. The thing is that that book has a big twist in the middle that changes everything, right? Literally, I was reading it. I nearly fell off the bench I was sitting on because I was so shocked by it. Because I was at work and they had those like cafeteria like benches, and I nearly toppled off. I had to catch myself. But it's a thing of. So I was shocked by the twist. And now I'm like, knowing that twist, how would that affect the reread? I'm interested to see. But
I desperately want an experience like that, because usually when I read things like that, I catch on to the twist. So like my first read, I'm reading it with the twist in mind. But I want to be able to go back and see something. But I just want to. I want somebody write a thing that I don't know coming. So basically what I'm getting from this convo is that I'm able to shock you with a twist. It'll be a success on my part.
I mean, potentially.
You too with a twist. Yeah, potentially. See, here's the thing. If you shock me with the twist, there better have been breadcrumbs and clues that I just didn't see coming. Otherwise, I'll just be annoyed.
Yeah, it depends on how the shocking is happening. And also, someone hasn't been sharing their work in the Sims realm, so how am I supposed to do that? I'm really being sassy today. You know, I'm just the questions of the day are right there. No, I'm just but yeah, it's a thing.
Fill those out.
It is a thing of like, yeah, it depends on the type of shock, because there is also like dun dun dun. But yeah, there are like different ways to like have a twist, right? And like, you know, catch people in that twist. But
also like my enjoyment doesn't come from not getting the twist or like from being fooled or anything, which I feel like I look, we may just have a shorter sprint at the end of the stream or just 2 sprints. This is an engaging writerly conversation right now. We're fine.
Yeah, we're finally talking about writing for once. Really?
I talk about writing all the time on my channel.
Hold on.
What about you?
Wait.
Maybe you're the problem. But anyway, yeah. See, here's the thing. Like when the, as I call them, the advice community, as I call them now, when the advice community talks about twists and stuff, and they normally like they talk as if like your twist should shock and surprise every reader, right? And your readers are going to be dissatisfied and upset if they can figure it out before the big reveal. But the thing is that like some of us, definitely me, get enjoyment out of finding the little clues and the little like breadcrumbs. We like revel in figuring out the twist and then being like, hey, I figured it out. Like that there's enjoyment in that. Some of us are just very deductive readers and in fact can't turn our brains off. And then like when there's a big twist or a big reveal and stuff that like has absolutely no precedence in the novel, like this motherfucking thing came out of nowhere, then it's kind of just like annoying because it's like this doesn't make sense with what was going on, you know? So
yeah, I feel like even because as someone who doesn't well, reads post-deductively, where it's like, you know, the twist happens and then you think about it and you look back on what happened and like, oh yes, it connects to this and this and this. Oh, now I see the line, you know, like that discovery for me is the...
Would it be fair to say that you would just be a, I had a phrase and now all I can think is post-deductive? That you're a delayed deductive reader? Like you're not deductive in the moment, but then it processes.
I don't know how I feel about these labels in the first place. Because like on it, like delayed does it like I feel like I know you mean it as like, you know, deductive as in you investigate, but it does also can be taken in bad faith to be like people don't be thinking while they're reading. You know, and therefore are stupid. As someone who doesn't think while she reads, and is
I would just like to say,
she reads.
I would just
I feel like the delayed almost infers that I like. It sounds like something when they're like, you know, delayed development. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. It is accurate, but like the connotations.
I would just like to point out that people literally call themselves head empty readers.
Yeah, see?
but like...
But see, I feel like because the delayed sounds more medical, you know what I mean? Whereas head empty is more like playful, you know? But I know you don't mean it that way, just to clarify.
I know. I'm not annoyed at you. I'm frustrated with the world. Because you're right. And I see what you're saying.
It's just one of those things. Hold on.
But why world gotta be like that? That's all.
It's one of those things where like the culture changes context. You know what I mean?
Yes, it does. And like I said, you're right, and I agree with you.
I like just the head empty. Like, because it is true. Although it's funny, I had where I was watching because they have a new Criminal Minds, or not Criminal Minds, Law and Order, dun dun, which is actually the noise, like one of the things I do at work creates that noise on a regular basis, and so I sit there and I imitate the Law and Order. I go dun dun, but yeah, no, it's a thing of I was watching because the new Law and Order is set in my city. They did a new spin-off. And I've been watching it with a friend, mostly because he just likes this is city aspect. He's not really into like crime shows. And I had where I was barely paying attention. I was on my phone the entire time. He's watching it. I get mildly invested towards the middle. And then at the end, he turned to me and he was like, but why did that guy do that thing? And I looked up and I was like, oh, because it was like, why did the guy like basically try to do like a false confession? And I was like, oh, it was because he was like, you know, trying to like get protection from the police from the like big bad. Da, 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 da. Like, I proceeded to explain it, and he was like, oh. And I was like, you didn't put that together? Not in a judgmental way, but I was more like, I'm confused. You're smarter than me in terms of logic-y things.
Well, but it's like,
and also, you were fully paying attention, and I was not.
I will say, like, and one of the things that you pointed out that I think is a falsity in a lot of people's logic is that people like equate intelligence and deductive or puzzle solving as like the same thing, and it's not. Like, first of all, intelligence is just, I don't know, it's a thing that measures like potential and whatever, so it's that. But deductive is just like, it's just reasoning and problem solving skills, and it's just a way for your brain to function and put together pieces of information that you are given. It's like, it has nothing to do with like your level of book intelligence or anything like that. So it doesn't have anything to do with your education level. It's like it's a skill. You know what I mean? Am I saying that clearly?
I get what you're saying. I think they are interconnected, though. Like, they definitely boost each other up. You know what I mean?
But they're not. Yeah, but I'm not saying. Well, but what I'm saying is they are not interchangeable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not. They're not entirely mutually exclusive, is what I mean, though.
Yeah. Waggles finger, and yeah, it can lead up. Honestly, I've been having trouble getting in touch with my work for the last few months. It's just been hard to work on it, and I'm recently able to get back into it. Sucks, but it is what it is. I'm sorry to hear that. Glad you're getting back to it. I hate it when a twist comes out of nowhere. I love looking back to see the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
I turn my brain off and just read/watch. I miss foreshadowing sometimes, but usually I can go back and see the hints in hindsight. I get more enjoyment from not predicting and being surprised. So does Chris. People can be wizards at being surgeons and still be terrible with operating. That is fucking true. All right. We're gonna go into our sprint. Very delayed.
Joke's on you. Well, I've been working this whole time.
I'm a mute.
Comics, baby.
How did everybody do that sprint? Tina will be back. Oh, looks like she is back. I did, in fact, mute you so I could snicker. Well, technically, muting you, well, snickering wasn't the primary purpose of muting you, but it was a very fun thing I got to do. Heyo, Heather. Oh, we always welcome our lurkers.
Yes.
I was answering some of Tina's question of the day that she posts in the server.
Yeah. I keep forgetting to put that in my intro/outro. I'm gonna do that.
It's getting it's getting tricky for me now because I'm like looking for the ones that I haven't done, but the way that it like the ones with the most recent replies pop up to the top. So then I have to go and be like, oh, where's the ones I didn't answer? Thankfully, they're bold because I haven't opened them yet.
I thought that's why you guys do the little rabbit reacts, because then you can see when you've answered.
I could do that. I am, in fact, doing that.
It was like, yeah, it goes to because like, yeah, you used to do where when it was in the writing thread, you would do like the Sam heart to people's responses to signify that you had read them.
I may have forgotten to do that, but it's fine. I do it now. But yeah, the current question I was answering was about what kind of media would I want my story adapted into, basically.
Yeah, let's ask the crowd one of the writing of the day questions, but not today's, because you gotta
I haven't seen
cough
today's,
up the
so we're gonna ask you the old one.
You gotta cough up a coffee to see that one exclusive.
To be up to date.
But yeah, no.
But yeah, I decided I would want mine to be like.
Oh, can I read out the question first?
Yeah.
So the question goes. Well, first it goes. Lights, camera, action. It's Tina's writing question of the day time. If your current/upcoming project would be adapted with an unlimited budget, what would that adaptation be like?
And I said I would want it to be adapted as a miniseries, specifically, as Lefty reminded me, an animated miniseries, because I think that at the moment animation is still leagues ahead of live action adaptation and effects for shifter related things. And it's also that they could just have so much fun doing like the different shifter designs and stuff. And I love character designs for things like this. Like WrestleMania was this weekend, and Chris and I were watching it, which that's one of those things that I forgot that my family and I used to do, like routinely, was watch wrestling and WrestleMania. And just watching it, I'm like, oh, influences from my childhood and my writing today. And I'm just like, well, so I'm just sitting there thinking of like Chirpy and Miguel and Moxie, and I'm like, man, if I had really wanted to like go even deeper into it, their personas would be even bigger. Because I don't know how much y'all know about wrestling, but wrestling is a mix of like fiction and real. Like a lot of the stunts and stuff they do, they're choreographed stunts, but they are like real stunts. They do like have to be careful and save, and they do like sustain injuries and stuff. But like they have personas, and there's like a narrative and everything written, and this shit goes back like generations and stuff. It's wild, and it's amazing. And I love, like, currently The Rock is a heel, and so a face is like a good guy and a heel is a bad guy. It's actually the term in fiction, heel, a face heel turn or a heel face turn, which means like when a good guy becomes a bad guy or a bad guy becomes a good guy, actually originates in wrestling. But like just the designs that they have for like their different personas and their characters are so just like visually interesting to look at and everything. And like my brain has died.
Oh.
But The Rock is currently a heel. He had a heel turn recently. And so now his outfits are like he's wearing these like satin vests that are unbuttoned all the way down and stuff. And I'm just like, I love this. And like it's so great. Also, they try their hardest to cover all the male butt cheeks, and it's fascinating the way they designed the shorts and stuff. So not a man booty cheek is seen on the stage. Like they got these little the fucking shortest shorts ever, but damn are those butt cheeks covered. And I'm like, I'm just fascinated by the design because I'm like, my women's bottoms could never. But yeah, if y'all want to see some interesting like character design and everything, I highly recommend looking up wrestler designs because it's such there's good visual storytelling in the costumes too. No, right? He wears pants. It was so with his satin vest, he wears pants. Also, some had belts, and like as part of their thing, they would pull their belts out like they were about to spank somebody, and I'm like, wild.
You cut out very quickly, so I thought you said that they had no belts, and I was like, I was gonna be like, well, wouldn't the belt they win be the belt they wear, and that's why they don't wear belts because they're waiting for that belt to the. But that's not what you said. It just cut out.
Also, this
isn't
one
there
person,
a TikTok trend about like a dance that involves pulling your belt out all sexily? I feel like that's a thing that I've seen just by osmosis through Instagram. I'll have to find it for you.
Perhaps, yes, I would. I would like to see this.
It's very spicy.
I wish I remembered more of the specifics and stuff, but like I haven't seen wrestling since it was the WWF instead of the WWE. So most of the time, Chris would be like, "Oh, these two people," and I'm like, "Who are we rooting for?" It's because I don't know any of the new ones. But then like The Undertaker came on and Triple H was there, and I was like, I know those two, but they're like not in costume. They're just like Triple H is in his suit because he's like technically retired, and The Undertaker's also retired, and he just like this thing was funny though. He just like appeared in the arena, and then like the lights went off. He appeared, and his whole thing is like he's the Undertaker, right? So he's like a Grim Reaper, but he just appears and like this sweatsuit. He's like got a hooded sweater, or a hoodie is the word I wanted. He's wearing a black hoodie and these black pants, and he's just looking real angry and shit. And then The Rock looks concerned, and then the lights turn off, and then they come back on, and the only thing there is now The Rock's belt. The Rock and the Undertaker are now missing. And I'm like, oh, he just took The Rock to hell. Like, it's so fun. But yeah, like Chris was having to like explain the general plot of everything that's going around right now. And it's like this one wrestling family, like one of the brothers had left the family because he's pissed at his dad, and so he's like wrestling with this other guy, and the other guy's like going up against the dad, and then the son comes in and stuff, and then the son's like knocked out, and then the dad like pulls off his belt like he's gonna spank him, and I made the joke. I was like, oh, he's gonna spank him like it's his dad, and Chris goes, oh, that is his dad, and I was like, oh, that makes it funnier. He needs to be in booty shorts to go along with those velvet vests.
Yeah.
There's satin vest. Velvet vest would give a different thing. Also, they have like live people like bands playing some of the song intros. I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
cool.
bruh. Yeah, like one of the women wrestlers, I cannot remember her name, but she was really cool. She was like in purple and black leather. And like she had these two belts that go across like this. But apparently they got her favorite band to come perform her opening live. And I was like, that's fucking cool.
That's cool. That also, I might take that idea for Apple. Actually, I'm like, I like the idea of the competitors being played in like that.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
I'm gonna write that
definitely,
down.
Like look up WrestleMania stuff because, like I said, wrestling, like the stunts and everything are real, but it's also like kind of choreographed and stuff. But it is really like it's good entertainment, and it's like I was telling Chris, I'm like I feel kind of sad because a lot of people like think wrestling is like this really low form of entertainment and stuff. And I'm like, if you actually like watch it, there's so much to it, right? Also, there is a song that played because each wrestler has their own theme song, right? And there's this song that came on. It's called "The Game," and I knew the song. And then I told Chris, I'm like, I like how you're not surprised I know this one. And he's like, you do know this one. You like know the words and shit. Why? And I'm like, Yu-Gi-Oh music video.
There's a YouTube channel, Super Eye Patch Wolf, where he talks a lot about like he reviews media in general, mostly anime and manga, but he does also talk a lot about like wrestling and like the theatrics and methods and stories and all that stuff of let me link Queen it up for you guys, because if you like what Sam's talking about but want like several hours of it then
yeah, several more informed hours, because like I said, this was like the first time I had actually watched wrestling since like my family watched wrestling back when it was the WWF. And like my grandparents were so into wrestling, they saw Andre the Giant perform, like wrestle live.
Damn.
So yeah, so it's just like,
see, all the names I know are people who are retired, except for The Rock.
like
I knew from you saying that, I was like, oh yeah, I know who he looks like. I know his
right.
I like. If you ask me,
So,
do you know a thing about wrestling? I'm like, no. but
no, but like thinking about it and then thinking of the way that I like wanted to do the pit and stuff, I'm like, oh, you can see kernels of it because it's like Moxie's name is a stage name. Like that's her stage persona and stuff. And like when I imagine, I don't think it's gonna make it into the book, but when I imagine they like start with their performances and stuff, or they start the fights, they go in hard with like showboating and shit. They're like escorted in, and like that's just how I imagine the fight starting. And then I'm like, oh, wrestling. That's why I think of these things. So
I'm writing down that idea of having them played in. Ooh, because I've set up something to make that a really good moment involving a character that doesn't get enough spotlight. So that's why I was like, actually, like,
I love when things like when anybody gets inspiration from any of our random conversations. But yeah, so in the pit, so far my blood sport is like it's like this weird mix of just things that I love about MMA, boxing, and wrestling. And I'm like, I need to sit down and think more about the fight. It's just unfortunate that like in the story, there's not going to be like a lot of actual like fight, like regulated fights or anything in the pit. So it's like I don't need a lot of that yet. But it's like in my head, I know it, but I wouldn't be able to like explain it and stuff quite yet. Cause like I know I know the rules and I know everything, but I haven't needed to like write it down. So I haven't needed to organize the thoughts. You ever like get that where it's like somebody asks you a question about your story and it's like, I have the answer. I don't know how to tell you the answer yet, but it's in there.
See, my solution to that is to just start typing it, because then I take that note and I save it somewhere.
Okay, so here's the thing.
That's a good point.
As part of the promo for the book, I want to do Chirpy's blog. And it's going to be a bunch of blog posts written by Chirpy.
I really love that, actually.
That, like if you pre-order the book, you get these blog entries sent to you, I think weekly. I haven't decided yet, so nobody holds me. This is not a legally binding promo thing. But yeah,
I'm writing up the contract now.
Fox and I have talked about like a Chirpy blog as like promo for the book pre-order. So I could definitely do like something with Chirpy doing that.
Oh. The thing is that, because like I am kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum with a false oracle, where like it comes in decently late into the game. We might have to work on the pacing, but it is a thing of like my blood sport of choice in a false oracle is basically, what if, like, because in history, like, it was a thing of, you know, the Roman emperors were like, we want to do the Olympics but better, and like the gladiatorial stuff is kind of adjacent to that. And I was like, what if gladiatory fights were actually an Olympic sport, like with the context of Olympic sport level rules? Because there are ancient Olympic rules that are very specific and some very fun stories that you can look into.
That's
I can't think
part
one off the top of my head, but there's some pretty gruesome stuff that happened back in the day.
That's part of the I just want to add this real quick before I forget. Like, yeah, the fact that like there's been blood sports and stuff like this throughout like a lot of cultures, throughout a lot of different histories and stuff. That's why I'm like, yeah, the shifters fighting it's like it's a legitimate sport and form of entertainment, because that's just the thing that society like does and stuff and totally would have done. And so that was kind of the like part of the concept for why the pit is there. And that one quote that you really like, oh shit, what was it? It is ever the privilege of fuck, what was, oh well, I'll figure it out later. But yeah, go on with what you were saying.
Your quote was basically saying like it's the, you know, part of privilege is being able to like
condemn forms of entertainment while also indulging in them.
Yeah, exactly. Which I do really like. It's really poignant. The thing is with sort of on like I'm kind of with AFO with the sport being you know, like it's integral to the plot. And like you cannot, the fights they're in there, like we start off knife fight, we get into a lot of fighting. But the thing of like, so I had to plan out every single round and every single fight. Although there are ones where it's like, these are two side characters who very much don't matter. Like, especially in the very first round, it's like there's 16 competitors total. And so the first round is 8 fights, right? And it's like, well, only like, I want to say like 5 of those fights like do matter, and the other 3 are like, it's whatever, you know, like it's like I just needed the people to like fill in, right? And so
you can just off-page mention who wins those fights.
Well, it's a thing of, I do have where in one of those fights we hear the fight going on, but we are entirely focused on the crowd's reaction to that fight, not the fight itself, because the fight itself does not matter. It's the crowd that matters in that moment, you know?
Ooh, I like
stuff like that. Yeah, it's a good one to.
Oh, also you're doing a visual medium, so that
yeah, that helps too. It's like I
am not, and writing fights in not a visual medium.
Yeah, it's also a thing of like, I feel like there is a lot of things that like definitely could be pulled off by someone who like has more of a mastery on prose than I do. But it is a thing with comics. I have this ability where I can have things going on in the background, and like I can show you two things simultaneously, right? I can put them beside each other without having to put focus. Like I can pick where the focus is on one or the other, right? Whereas I feel like stuff like I can have where, for example, like one character is eating a slice of cake, relevant to hometry, in the foreground, and in the background, two people are fighting, right? And we can't hear what they're saying, but we can see them fighting, right? If I wanted to have like where it's a thing of like them fighting in the background is not something that the reader will necessarily notice until it comes back around later in the plot, I can just depict them, have it be a quick couple panels, and we don't think about it again, right? With writing, it's one of those things where you have to be like
it's
very subtle
yeah,
to
it's a
not
lot harder to
point it out directly. You kind of have to write around it, which is not something that I'm so versed in, you know? Whereas drawing wise, I'm like, bam, I got you. Like, you know. So.
Have got to have some level of mastery of mystery writing in order to do that, I think. Just because the books that I think do that the best are mystery books. Like I was telling you about the Lockhart thing with the photos. Like that top tier level, like you could, Lucy in the narrative very much doesn't like notice the difference and stuff. Also, in order to do that well, your like character who does figure shit out can't be your POV character. Because if they are, then the reader could just feel like you were just withholding things from them. Whereas if the character who figures things out is the non-POV character, and the non-POV character and the POV character is like just kind of like, oh shit, well I missed that, then I feel like the reader is kind of like, oh okay, well that was the thing. So but yeah, that's one of the reasons I appreciate like comics and stuff, is because you can have those things in the background, and I love them. And sometimes they don't even like actually matter. They're just like additional enjoyment.
Yeah, that's the there is one that a friend pointed out to me that I did unintentionally in one mystery treat. It's in, I want to say, page like 17, 18 maybe even 16, in around that area. But there's a panel where the main character opens the fridge, right? And the reveal is like of that panel is what's going on behind him, right? You know this panel, you know what I'm talking about. I won't reveal it. You guys
I will be honest, I paid so much more attention to what was in the fridge than what was behind him.
Well, the thing is that I just started making up stuff that was in the fridge, and my friend later came to me, being like, pulled up that panel and was like, it was really funny that you specifically put that the feta cheese in the fridge is 100% from Greece, because I had a conversation with this friend where I ranted to them about the fact that feta is like a legally protected term now, and it has to be like a very specific composition and from Greece in order to qualify. Like there's a bunch of like legal stuff around it now.
No, I get it. It's like bourbon. I 100% understand.
Yeah, and so my friend was like, it's really funny that like you included that in the comic, like, and I was sitting there like, I forgot that I did that. I did not do that intentionally. I was just like, what's in the fridge? Feta.
I was just being a nosy bitch, and I was like, "Case, what you got in the fridge, bitch?" What's in here? And then I actually had to go back because I was like, "Wait, was there anything else in that panel?" But I know I saw what was in the background. I don't remember what it was. I also couldn't tell you what was in his fridge. I just, at the moment, because my brain's I just I remembered the fridge.
There was definitely feta, and then there was definitely, I think I had peach juice. I think I was like, I had something where I drew a cute little peach, but
violence, love, and sex sells throughout history. It always has. Tapping into one of them will bring a crowd.
AFO hits all three. Give myself a pat on the back for that one.
I have mixed feelings because, like, I don't disagree with it, but I also think that the term is applied in
I think
ways
it's more
that
nuanced than that.
Yes, that's the word I wanted, nuanced. Because like a lot of people, like in modern sensibilities, you know, stuff like wrestling and boxing and MMA, it's still like super popular and stuff, but people aren't really chomping at the bits for like genuine violence. They in modern day sensibilities, most people just they want the illusion of violence.
I think it's a thing of like less so that like, well, because also sex sells is more in the context of like marketing and stuff is where that term comes from. But I feel like this idea is less so that like sex, love, and violence sell, and more that thrills sell.
Yeah,
and
like
it's more
things that bring the adrenaline rush.
Yeah, and it's like that can be a variety of things to a variety of different people, right? Because you can have where like, you know, this like thrilling, you know, engaging romance to one person might not appeal to someone who's like aromantic, right? Who like doesn't have the, you know, like that that want to see that sort of thing, but maybe, you know, opposite side, like that aromantic person like loves horror movies, and the other person like me is like, not for me. No good thrills there, only bad thrills.
Yeah, and it's like cannot deny that TNA fan servicey animes make money, right? Like their figures and stuff, regardless of any ethical or moral any ethical or moral or anything like that, it makes money. But like I know a lot of anime fans and viewers that there's animes that they would really love to watch and enjoy, but the fan service in it just turns their stomachs. Like it's just is physically too much for them to be able to enjoy. So then like they stop. So then it's like it becomes a question of, is it super popular, or is it just the people who are into it are willing to spend the money to make it profitable, right?
Yeah, it's also like a thing of like,
oh, hold on. Bye, Jess.
Bye, have a good
night. Okay, go ahead, continue.
I think it's a thing of like, yeah, like oh shoot, I lost my thought. We said goodbye to Jess, and then I lost my thought.
We were talking about if the people willing to spend money on it are willing to make it profitable. At least that's the last thing I said.
Yeah, I feel like it's a thing of like, oh, I got my thought again. It's a thing of like, yes, those things can sell, but things like whether something sells is not dependent on those things necessarily, right? There's so many more elements to consider, right? And I feel like also too, like how the world has like progressed and how our tastes have changed, like it's a thing of like, you know, I think part of that like people very much like Ruth's comment here being like, I'm kind of, you know, over this stuff. I think it's because like as viewers, we've gotten more savvy, right? And it's a thing of like we want more out of our media generally, and then, you know, there's exceptions to that, like it's you know, also, but so it's like if it's gonna have TNA, it's also got to be good, you know.
There's also a level of the accessibility is close, but it's not what I want. So for example, a couple years, like I want to say 4 years ago, I was reading a book. It was a fantasy book, and I didn't like the sexism in it, right? Like there's one female character and she was like treated like a child, and I didn't feel she had genuine agency and stuff. And like one of my friends, he was like, well, like, Sam, if you hate it for the sexism so much, why don't you just DNF it? And I was like, and I told him, I'm like, if I DNF'd every fantasy book that had sexism in it, I wouldn't have anything to read, right? Fast forward to 2024, and I'm able to be a lot more selective with my fantasy because we've got a lot more female-centric fantasies and a lot more fantasies where, like, the men folk have been putting forth their effort to to write not inherently sexist and misogynistic things. And I'm like, I have a little more options now. Like I've got more selections. I don't just have to put up with the sexism or go without anymore, right? So I also think that plays a big part into it now too.
Yeah, I feel like it's a
another
cyclical thing of like,
yeah,
you know, readers get savvier and authors get, you know, better and just, you know.
and we can have more demands and stuff now. We are allowed to be pickier with our wallets. And like another good example is my husband. He loves shoujo. Well, like in josei, it's basically like anime that's more geared toward women than toward men, especially since a lot of these they like happen to be more romantic, or like the romance and stuff is written more maturely, more emotionally intelligent, just because that's one of the priorities of the anime that's targeted toward women. And there was a weird drop in the production of such animes, and instead they started making a lot of stuff geared toward male audiences that looked like it was gonna be shoujo and josei, but like when you actually watched it, it wasn't. And it wasn't in ways that were very annoying. Like I could tell you if it was a shonen or a shoujo based on the drawing of like a character entering class, because like if it was a shoujo geared toward women, you could tell that she was probably wearing a bra, right? Whereas if it was a shonen, then no, there's no way that character was wearing a bra at all. Like they might think she is, but that's not how it's supposed to be drawn, right? So it's like just discrepancies like that it's like, okay, this is when like I go to my shoujo and my josei, so I don't have to deal with those very micro sexist things. So then to like go into an anime that very much looks like it's supposed to be one of those, and then I'm dealing with this bullshit again. That was like very frustrating for a while. But now the joseis are being made again, and they're actually like kind of aged up now. So like they're about office worker romances and stuff, and I'm like, it's so cute. Would also love side characters to not be playing. Yes! I will say in josei, side characters are not pointless. They get their own narratives. It's also that those three have become so common, and people today are tired of seeing it, especially with sex. Gen Z has actively been voicing their opposition to seeing so much of it all the time. Yeah, that's like how society has, their sensibilities have changed.
Yeah, I think some of that does potentially lead into stuff like shaming sex, though. Like I feel like you can go in the opposite direction too far, right?
We don't want the pendulum. That's like a really big vocal point that I have always had, because it's the sexy character, right? I have always had issues with characters like, for example, Kasumi from Dead or Alive, because she is supposed to be I know you don't know, but I'm going to explain. She is supposed to be a 14-year-old girl who's kind of like shy and modest and stuff. And it's like, you know, she's just, you would think the way that she's described, she would dress that way. But instead, she's wearing just like this, it looks like a sash on her front and on the back. And she's clearly, like, if she's wearing underwear, it is the thinnest fucking thong everywhere. And it's just like so sexual and just naked and stuff. And it's like, I hate that, because that is not how the character is presented at all. On the flip side, there's a game series where the main character, her name is Morgan, and she's a succubus. And I love her design. Her design is just so, like, she's so confident. She in like her little leotard that's all down to the navel and stuff. And I love that for her, because that's like how she's supposed to be, right? The character is designed to be like sexy and sensual and stuff. And I don't mind stuff like that. I think that we could use stuff like that. But like with Kasumi, it's very much just kind of against the character design. It's very obviously that she's just there to be drooled over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not because that's within her character.
I do, kind of besides your point, I do wonder if there's a way to sort of have a character who is presented as like shy and socially awkward and all that, but have them like have it still justified in their character for them to dress revealing. Because I think it is a thing of like that sort of like, oh, shy must mean modest, like is sort of like a thing that happens, you know?
No, that's
and I
the
wonder
thing.
about
Part
like
of her
flipping that. I know it's
part
that's
of her
why I said it's beside the point.
is to be modest. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said beside the point. Like, clearly it's a thing of, like, in that case, but I'm talking more, like, I wonder, like,
No, I would love a middle
off,
ground.
you know?
So for example, Aerith from Final Fantasy VII and Aerith and Tifa from Final Fantasy VII, I think would actually be kind of good examples of a middle ground. Because, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so because Tifa is a brawler, right? And because she's a brawler, she wears kind of this like crop top and this leather mini skirt, really, because there's shorts underneath, and these boots, right? And with the suspenders, and so she wears like, you know, she shows a lot of skin and stuff, and she's like, but she's a brawler. Whereas Aerith, she's got like a dress down to her ankles, but also it's a leather dress. And there's buttons all the way down it, and it's kind of unbuttoned up to almost her crotch area. So it's like where at first glance you could look at these characters and maybe misjudge that Tifa would be the more like sexual and sensual of the two. Aerith's design kind of has little bits hidden in there that she's actually the more like romantically and sensually aggressive of the two. And it's a really good character contrast for the middle ground there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I kind of want to see someone swing have where the outfit swings one way and the character personality swings the shy, but have it make sense for the character. You know what I mean? Like, because I wonder if that could be pulled off where the character is shy but not necessarily modest. And I'm like, I can't think of a good example, but there must be some out there, and I'd be interested.
I have one. I have a character kind of like that. Her name is Alexis. She's like super shy and she's cute and shit, but she also wears like off the shoulder sweaters that are a little like short and stuff, and she'll wear like these little short shorts, but she's adorable, but also like she's comfortable dressing that way. So Bella said it's more like them not wanting sex scenes just because or for shock value, because they only want sex included if it adds to the story and makes sense, because there is a place for it in stories.
See, the thing is that I know what you're talking about. I feel like that funnels back into the conversation of like readers getting more savvy and then authors getting better in that cycle, right? I think the thing is too is that there is, once again, I feel like I'm like warning, could be sex shaming, because the thing is that I feel like I've seen this argument of like, you know, people only want sex included if it adds to the story, being a way to like sort of like shame erotica for being erotica, right? And it's like there doesn't have to be this clear plot reason for characters to have sex, you know? It's like it can be part of the relationship, but not necessarily part of the like foundation of the story, you know? Like as long as it makes sense in the believability of the story, it doesn't have to be like so.
I want to copy paste your quote, but edit it in that there doesn't always need to be a story reason to explicitly show sex on page, because sometimes people just want to see the characters just the characters engaging in sexual things. That on itself can be satisfying for people. Like with the hugest of disclaimers, I don't particularly enjoy most sex scenes. I'm demisexual. A lot of times I get get bored and stuff. But if the sex scene is written well, I don't mind it at all. I'm good for it. Ice Planet Barbarians is one of those series.
I knew I'd come back around.
No, it's true. Ice Planet Barbarians is one of those series where in some of the books, the sex scenes are literally only there to serve a narrative purpose in a couple of the books. And it's like, when that happens, it's, for me, speaking solely as Sam reading, when that happens, I'm like really kind of drawn in, and I'm like, oh, we're getting this like big emotional like release and stuff. Oh, we're getting character development and everything. The relationship. And then there's other ones where the characters are just kind of horny for each other, and they hooked up. They're dealing with other stuff in the plot, and it's like they have a lot of sex. And for Sam as a reader, I'm all like, yes, I know. Yes, yeah, you fucked each other again. But like, I know that there is a target audience who likes that a lot. And it's like, why would you come to this series and complain that that's a thing? Right? Like, you should expect it. And even though personally I get tired of sex scenes after a couple has like fucked X amount of times, I don't sit on a hill of I think it needs to be taken out of the story, or even that I think that it doesn't serve the book. Because like I said, there's readers for that, right? And there's readers who love that and like probably are like, oh yeah, get him again. And I think it's important to figure out, like, is it like a you as an individual reader thing? Because I had a point. Oh, because sometimes there is a lot of sex and it's not there for shock value. It's not there to serve a narrative purpose either, but like it serves an entertainment purpose. And that's what most media that's what I've been struggling to try to it serves an entertainment purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, even if,
sorry, like, I struggled bus to get there. Thank you all for sitting.
The difference between being like, I don't like sex in this context when I'm reading, and being like, oh, sex can only be in stories if it does this, and this. That's where I'm like, that's where we're getting into like sex shamey territory of the idea of like sex just being there for sex's sake. Like, especially because like we don't really think about that with the other categories, right? Of the love and the violence. The violence a little bit we think about it. But like
I think about it with the fight scenes.
But like in the context of
like there's not big conversations like that.
Yeah, there's not big conversations of this like, oh, like, violence can only be in a story for serving the plot. It's like violence can also just like happen. Like
some people like fight scenes.
Yeah, it can
I'm not
just
those
be
people, but
like it can explicitly be for the thrills, right? It's one of those things where it has to be believable to the story, right? But it doesn't necessarily, like, I hate this idea of like narrowing it down to being like it has to serve the plot, when it's like I feel
I'm gonna just pause you for a second, Tina, to say that we're not gonna do a third sprint tonight because this is a really good conversation. No, it's okay. No. That's one of the things I like.
You all can work into the background while you listen.
That's one of the things I like about the Monday streams and stuff is, they do provide, like, sometimes we get to have really good writerly discussions and stuff. And so I'm just letting everybody know that I'm calling it now. We're not going to do the final sprint so that we can continue this conversation. And I also want to say, I want to thank Bella for bringing this up. Because, like, Tina, I feel in part that this is a continuation of something that I've been saying a lot on all of my streams over the past, like, month and a half. The whole reason I've started, like, referring to the advice community. Is that what I've been calling it?
Advices community? I'm just
advice
I'm messing with you.
Because like my whole thing with the advice community is that like you can't treat every piece of advice as a generalized this is it for like for all stories. And like you really shouldn't even spread advice or use it yourself without knowing where the advice like originated from. Like why is this advice? Why is this people are saying this? And so I kind of feel like we have unintentionally continued that discussion in a new territory, and this pleases me greatly. So go on, continue with what you were saying.
Yeah,
I just wanted to say that.
I feel like it's a thing of like, yeah, like sort of adding to that, like art, both visual art, writing, comics, all that stuff, it's all subjective, right? And that means that there is basically always an exception to the rule, right? For a lot of things, right? And so it's a thing of like prescribing these additional rules of like, you know, this thing can only be portrayed this way, you know, in order to be accepted, right? Not even in order of like personal, like if I'm like, you know, personally, like, you know,
so if you're just talking about like your preferences and shit, that's
that's completely different, right? That's putting your subjective opinion on a subjective medium, right? Whereas like the ideas of like, because yeah, when I feel like the territory in when this becomes like a conversation of like sex shaming usually becomes trying to put quote unquote objective truths onto media that has sex in it, of being like, oh, like it is only morally right to have sex that serves the plot. It is only allowed to have sex that does this, this, and this, you know, only that like. And drawing those lines, I think, is where we get into territory of like, yeah, sex shaming, which also is just bad for everyone because
it's an overcorrection. It's an overcorrection to the problem.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it creates this environment where, you know, authors might be, you know, scared, like will hold themselves back potentially. It also means that readers are potentially getting things that they either won't, you know, might not enjoy, or maybe not discovering things that they potentially could have enjoyed. You know, it's one of those things where like I read this book recently. I love the fact that my entire book collection is now over here, so I can just get out of my seat and go find it.
Well, Tina's finding that. Rue, I just correctly processed this. Yes, Dead or Alive has always been fan service. That's the problem. I've been dealing with Kasumi since I was 12.
So I found the book. So
as far as muscular male MCs, that depends on the medium you're talking about. If you're talking about, if you're talking specifically about like comic books and anime and manga and stuff, yeah, they have hyper masculine male MCs. But if we're just talking about like regular media and stuff like TV shows and movies, and more often than not, you've got average Joes. So,
but have we considered muscular female MCs?
I thought you said muscular female memcs, and I was trying.
I did say memcs. I did slip up.
Okay.
But yes,
look,
I'm throwing.
But I am just because I don't want it to seem as if I'm dismissing this. I do want more variety for everybody.
Yeah.
Like I want the soft boys and the hard gals.
I do.
We need the muscle mommies.
I do also love a muscular man who is soft.
Yes, we need more of those because like the majority of men who build their muscles, like who aren't bodybuilders, they have this soft muscles.
Oh, I meant soft in personality, but that too.
Yes, I mean
because it's also a thing kind of tying into that, like the men who I've met in my life who are muscular are also so nice. Like I'm like
like sweet little
yeah, I'm like gentle giants. But yeah, so I'm linking a comic from a comic art publisher I really like. It's called Letters for Ricardo. I'm gonna zoom in so you can actually see the
there's
carpet.
another man there.
Yeah, there's two men's. It's a story about two men's.
It looked like the black guy was just blowing out a bunch of smoke.
He's giving a forehead smooch.
I see that now. There was a whole ass man there. He was not.
Oh, that's the man you couldn't see. It was really overblown. The thing is that like that book, and it's the first in a series. It's first of all, it's a vampire romance, like that talks about like mortality and immortality and how that affects the romance, and just so good. And the thing is that like it also is erotica. Like they have many of the sex. But the thing is that it's one of those things where like yes, you could theoretically, because I know like there's that thing. It always mildly annoys me when people, back to the advice thing, give this advice of being like, oh, like it's not worth putting in a story if you could take it out of the story and it wouldn't matter, like stuff like
I want the flavor text,
like romance and stuff. I'm like, but then it would just be a more boring story. And also, what like the whole thing of like if you take like if you can take the romance out of the story, that it's like not potentially worth it. And I'm like, but define taking the romance out of the story. Do you mean just like making them friends? Because like that's also cool, but not what I want to do.
See, I've never heard that. All I've ever heard is if you can take the romance out of the story and the story doesn't change, then it's not technically a romance. And I was about to be like, no, that's true. It's a story with a romantic subplot, but then you were like, then it's not worth it. And I'm like, whoa, hold on now. That's another horse. That's a different horse of another color. And I'm not on that one. Yeah, I definitely feel. So I think the advice originated as something along like when you are revising specifically, not when you're drafting, not when you're outlining, when you are revising a story, if you can take it out of the story and the story is either unaffected or stronger without it, then you should just get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
But like people confuse story and plot a lot, and they take it as, well, if it doesn't affect the plot, then you can throw it out. But like, especially if you're writing something more character centric, your story is more important than your plot. And like things that I call flavor text are like, I call it that because in Magic the Gathering, it's a card game. You've got your cards that'll have the name, the stats, and the description of what the card does. And then at the bottom, there's something called flavor text, which will be a quote or a description of the lore of the card. You can take that off and it doesn't change the card. But having it on there makes the card better. Because now you're like, oh, bitch, I know this warrior struggles. Or it's like, oh, this motherfucker seems sneaky now, like stuff like that. And so for me, I say flavor text instead of fluff, because fluff has a connotation of being unneeded. I think a lot of stories need that flavor text so that the story itself is more entertaining. That's the other thing. I think a lot of people like get caught up in, writing is art. And yes, Tina, comics are art, but also
comics are art.
They're entertainment. They are a form of art that's purpose is to entertain. However one defines entertainment, because some people are entertained by things that make them think. Some people are entertained by things that make them cry. Some that make them laugh. However some people are entertained by soap operas where it's just the fucking drama is so messy. We're not even going to talk about whether or not the narrative is believable, whether or not the narrative makes fucking sense half the time, but it is messy as hell, and that is where the entertainment lies, right? So it's like, I feel like flavor text is necessary to a story because it increases the entertainment. So
yeah, I think it's also a thing too of like when
Rue needs a quick explanation of the difference between story and plot. Story is the whole string of events. Plot is driving circumstances that push the characters forward. Plot is both. Okay, so plot is the driving circumstances. It's all right. So I'm trying to think of an example. Tina, give me a popular series.
Oh, goodness. Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay, the plot of Avatar: The Last Airbender is the last Airbender awakens and has to complete his training in order to defeat the Fire Lord and save the world. The story of Avatar: The Last Airbender is that Aang wakes up in a world in a completely new world with the weight of saving it on his shoulders, and he has to work with these people to learn to overcome the grief of losing his civilization and to find the strength within himself to become the Avatar and defeat Fire Lord Ozai. There's another story in Avatar: The Airbender of a young Fire Nation prince who has to learn what honor means to him, and if honor really means sacrificing the world's only chance for balance again, or helping him defeat his father, right? And then there's also Katang. There's also Katara and Sokka. Quiet. Katara and Sokka, they also fill into that. So stories are they're the deep. The story is the emotional, personal component of a piece of storytelling, right? Whereas the plot is just the bare bones events, the what is gonna happen. You can take a plot and you can do the plot with any of the characters, right? But the story has to be with specific characters and stuff. JC came in on soap operas, and I'm a soap girl. I grew up on them.
I find them so fascinating.
You in fact came in when I was defending them as great entertainment.
It's one of those things where I find soap opera plots so fascinating because it's taking stretching your suspense. It's taking your suspension of belief and stretching it as far as it possibly can, and I find that so fascinating. But and it's also just a thing too of I remember because my mom is real big into The Young and the Restless, right? Has been watching it basically since it came out, right? And when I was in my college university years, I tried watching with her a bit. And I remember one time I sat down because I was to watch an episode with her, and I was if you were to make this into a comic, an episode into a comic, how many panels would that require? And so I sat down and I was literally taking notes every time the storyboard changed of 1, 2, 3, 4, mark scene, and it's a show, so it's very, very many more panels than you could fit in one comic chapter. But also that made me notice how quickly scenes change. But you still, if you understand the overall events, even though the scenes are changing really quickly, you do actually understand what's going on, even if the POVs jump a lot. And it's fascinating to me.
10 storylines, and you're just following along, and it's So I have a fun thing about that. So for those who don't know, my husband is Nicaraguan. Well, he is born and raised in Miami, but his parents are both from Nicaragua. And their first language is Spanish. Well, my mother-in-law, she was watching a telenovela. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching it with her. And she's like, "Do you speak Spanish?" And I'm like, "No, I don't speak Spanish." She's like, "But you know what's going on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know what's going on." Because soap operas, you don't need to speak the language to know what's going on in a soap opera. They are the same cross-culture. So basically
I have a fun story about that.
She asked me what was going on, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that she was supposed to be dead, but she's not. And she had his baby, but his mom stole the baby. And now he's marrying her twin sister. But she's about to reveal that she's not dead. And his mom looked at me and she was like, how do you know what's going on? And I'm like, I've watched soap operas my whole life. I'm like, hold on. Like having a show add it to a later season when the first one didn't include it, or
there's a previous comment for context.
I missed that. I have to issue or complaints about having sex in stories. It's more like I have no issue or complaints about having sex in stories. It's like adding it to a story slash show slash piece of media halfway through without any sort of lead up or build, like having a show add it to a later season when the first one didn't include it, or if you're 3 books into a series and they start having added sex scenes out of nowhere. I will say that's like all contextual to me because I don't actually know. I don't know many examples of that, but I do know there are a lot of book series and a lot of TV series that kind of grow up with their audience. And so as their audience grows up and as their, especially in TV shows, as their cast and stuff get older, they will start adding that. If I had a specific example of it, then I would be able to give a better thing. But
I do also feel like it's one thing for this to be like personal preference. Like if you don't, want sex included later, like seemingly out of nowhere, then like that's your prerogative. I think for me, it's a thing of like, that is also kind of realistic,
Yeah.
Like it is a thing of like, as someone who, it's a thing of like, I don't think I've had many moments where I've like, in my personal life, where I've like made extensive plans to be having the sex. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where like it is, like, but also this depends on like, your, where you lay on this sort of like ace aloe. I wanted to do spectrum, but it's more like, of being like, are you someone who like needs to be, like friends with the person first? Like, is it something that you need to like ram up to? But I feel like it is a like reasonable thing that like a lot of people are sort of like quick to the draw with like, initiating sex or like, having sex with people and like that.
Like, I had a girl in high school that I kind of looked up to. Like she was mildly my hero. I was a freshman in biology and she had this planner. It was a date planner where she kept track of when she had sex and with who, because she's Brilliant. Like, she didn't want a boyfriend, but sometimes she wanted to fuck. And somebody was like, but why do you keep track of it all? And she's like, because I'm going to know if I catch something or if I end up pregnant, who to blame and who's the baby daddy. And That's I was fair. Just like, this is flawless logic.
Yeah.
Like, I just kind of loved her. I was
even
like,
in that
this woman is great.
She was recording it after it happened. She wasn't putting dates in her calendar, right? And so I think
she would like she was recording it as it happened. Well, it depended. Like sometimes
was she pre-planning it? Was more my question.
I think the pre-planning was more like impulsive of maybe this weekend or something. Because there was like this guy in our class that she like he's very obviously kind of a skeezy dude, and she was like considering him, and like this other girl, she was all like, girl, him, and she's like, I mean, he's not bad looking and I don't need him to stick around. He's like, plus you've seen his shoe size? I mean, like,
I feel like I've listened to this conversation in high school.
I'm a little like 12-year-old freshman and she's like, 18 or something senior.
12.
I'm just sitting here like, I was 12 as a freshman. I graduated at 17, so I was.
Oh, okay. But I was like, the numbers aren't that different in America, are they?
No. I was a year younger than all but like 2 of my peers. So, I need more explanation. Like, Boy Meets World definitely elevated maturity. Like, it grew with its audience to the point like they started in middle school, I think, then went to high school, then college.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even be right. Like,
we love an organized bitch here.
I don't think she slept with him. Just but she considered. But yeah. Hold on. JC had said some of the storylines are like really is for soap operas, and like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, but I remember there's also like a lot of politics that goes behind the scenes for soap opera plot lines, which I only know because I would listen to my mother and my grandmother talk about them. But like General Hospital, we refer to as my mother's Jason hour because, oh, what was his name? The actor who played Jason. He also voices Cloud in Final Fantasy VII, which is why my mother watched Final Fantasy VII and started caring about the games. But either way, Steve Burton. That's his name, Steve Burton. Yes, Stephen Burton. So, but like certain characters would be like killed off or something, and it would be because like that actor's contract ended or they were like leaving the show or something. And like Steve Burton had left the show a couple times because of some like contract disputes, and then like I think at one point he got married and just wanted to take a break. So then like, yeah. Yeah, she said she might start watching it again because Jason has returned. But like at one point, like Jason was dead. They killed him off, but then he like came back and he had been in a hospital with amnesia because like Steve Burton decided to return to the show. So it's like sometimes it's really not the writer's fault so much as like it's just contract Hollywood politics and stuff. Mm-hmm. So they'd have to try to figure out, oh, Jason hasn't.
And that's part of what fascinates me is that like
soap opera viewers, I have never heard a soap opera viewer go, this writing, no, they just go, okay, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Oh, of course, coma, that, or they're like, or they're self-aware and they start making fun of it. They're like, oh, he's dead now, but they'll bring him back in a coma.
Oh, I loved the show Jane the Virgin. You've probably heard of that one, right? I haven't
seen it. I've heard of it. Oh, it's on my to be watch list.
Oh, it's so up your alley, I feel like. Because it's one of those things where it has like
the first half of an episode and I was like, oh, I could.
It both plays straight, like, but also lovingly satirizes it. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you can tell so much that everyone behind it loves the medium so much, you know? And that I feel like that's what really makes it special.
I mean, now I have to watch it. The last time, like, two of my friends were sure I would love. Yeah, the last time two of my friends were sure I would like something, it was Ice Planet Barbarians, and now I'm obsessed. So, although I no longer remember who they were, I thought one of them was Jess, but Jess was like, "No, I haven't read it," and I'm like,
"Oh yeah, I remember that. That was on screen."
So I just remember there were two people. I think Violet was one of them. Which Violet is the person in the Year Favorites Readathon. She's one of the people participating, and it was listed as her favorite romance. So I definitely know that Violet was one of them. I just don't remember who the other person was. At least watch the first episode. It hooks you at the very beginning. I'll give it a watch. I'll put it at my priority list after I listen to all these books. We are 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Yeah, we're only 3 minutes into the stream, guys.
We're only 3 minutes into the stream. I gotta do my intro again.
We are we're 12 minutes over 3 hours. So we should go ahead and say goodnight. Tina, I'll speed run us. This is Tina of Two Bunnies, who has lots of comics. You can go to her website at Cabby.com. I wanted to make sure I said it right. At Cabby.com. You can read her mermaid short story, and it's a mermaid short story, and the one shot.
Yeah, but it's a comic, my friend. You said short story. I'm like, don't confuse them.
Can be short stories, but I do understand the clarification needed. The mermaid short comic about. And a story with a vampire and their girlfriend. Coffin.
Yeah. Yeah?
That's the other half.
You got it. You got it.
Oh, it's coughing something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna look it up. You know, it's sitting on my desk too. Coffin bed?
Yeah.
And yeah, she got 2 bunnies. Luna and
Okay,
Boo.
2 bunnies.
2 bunnies. She could make a solar eclipse with Luna and Boo.
I could. I did actually do an illustration that's basically that, actually, now that I think about it. Is it on my website?
And
Maybe it
then
is.
if it's not, look forward to maybe her putting it up. Again, this is not a contractually agreed upon promotion.
I gotta put it up.
I am writing.
I'm gonna do that tomorrow.
I'm writing Mom Samantha Elnasset, connoisseur of all things romance, fantasy, romantasy, sometimes horror and mysteries. I like all the things except dense sci-fi and fantasy. But yeah, sticker. If you're not following my TikTok, you should be, because soon I will be posting my year of favorites book feels. If you want to join my Discord, you can do so via my Ko-fi down below for $1. I need to stop just removing the outliney thingy. JC asked a thing. No. Okay. Tina and I will catch you sometime this month. It's the Tina, Matt, and CB show this month.
Yeah, wait, hold on. I have the schedule right in front of me. I can pull it up real quick, because I usually keep Discord open.
Wednesday, I will be on CB's channel, so make sure you are subscribed to CB and have notifications on. She will be hosting Whip Wednesday at 1 to 4 Central, 2 to 5 Eastern. And Thursday is the Sam's Writing Work Shift from 1 to 4 Central.
And so next Monday, I'll be back in. And then the Monday after that, no Tina.
29th.
But the Monday after that, Tina again.
So the 15th and the 29th.
Yeah, 15th and 29th.
And we'll catch y'all later. Bye.
Alrighty, bye.